There's a powerful, persistent lie in your head that tells you you're about to be exposed as a fraud. This isn't self-doubt, it's a specific psychological pattern holding you back from your potential. We'll show you the 3 cognitive interventions that silence the feeling instantly.
So that voice, it has a name: Impostor Syndrome. And let's be absolutely clear about something. It's not humility, and it's not just a little lack of confidence. It's a cognitive distortion. Think of it like a glitch in your mental software. And you know what? If it's a glitch, it can be fixed. We are not talking about just thinking positive or chanting some empty affirmations. Nope. We're talking about a systematic upgrade, about installing a new, more accurate operating system for your mind that runs on hard evidence, not on fickle emotions. Now here's the wild paradox of being a high achiever. The most competent, the most driven people, you guys, are often the ones who feel like the biggest fakes. See, the problem isn't your success. It's how your brain is processing that success. The real barrier standing between you and your next level of performance isn't a lack of talent or skill or hard work. It's a totally correctable error in your thinking. So the solution isn't to just work even harder trying to outrun the lie. The solution is to adopt a new, disciplined framework for your mind.
To get you there, we're going to follow a really clear, logical path. First, we'll break down the high achiever's paradox. Then, we'll dissect the anatomy of the lie to really get to its roots. After that, we'll install the 3 cognitive defenses. Think of this as your new mental operating system. We'll dig into why the system works, give you an instant action protocol to start today, and finally, help you master your inner game for good.
Okay, so let's start with that paradox. You know the feeling, right? You get the promotion, you absolutely nail a huge project, you get praise from someone you really respect, and instead of feeling great, you get this spike of anxiety. You feel like the stakes just got higher, and the day you finally get found out is just around the corner. Why does this happen? It's because you haven't fixed the underlying thought process that's misinterpreting your own success. And remember, the answer isn't more work, it's a new way of thinking.
All right, let's switch gears and go into full diagnostic mode. To defeat this feeling, we first have to understand it with absolute precision. We're putting this thing under the microscope to find the exact systematic error at its core. And just to be clear, this isn't about some flaw in your personality. It's not about who you are. It's about a faulty mechanism in your thought process that we can identify, isolate, and then completely fix.
The root of the problem, right here, is what psychologists call a warped attribution style. It's basically a destructive formula your brain runs on autopilot. When something goes right, you tell yourself, oh, I just got lucky, or my team carried me, or they must have low standards. You credit your success to external factors, anything and everything but your own skill. But the second something goes wrong, that formula flips on a dime. You internalize it completely. See, I knew I wasn't smart enough. I'm just not cut out for this. I'm a fraud. You blame failure on some deep, internal, permanent flaw in yourself. This habit makes it mathematically impossible for real confidence to ever grow.
And the price you pay for running this faulty mental program is huge. First, you've got that crippling anxiety, that constant low-level fear of being exposed that just saps your energy and focus. Second is chronic overwork. You try to make up for a fraudulence that isn't even real by over-preparing, double-checking everything, working insane hours, all to prevent an exposure that's never going to come. And third, severe risk aversion. You start dodging the very opportunities that would prove how competent you are, turning down that big promotion, staying quiet in meetings, avoiding new challenges, because every new step up feels like a bigger chance to fail. These aren't just bad feelings, they are massive drags on your potential and your peace of mind.
Okay, we've diagnosed the problem with laser precision. Now it's time to install the solution. In this next section, I'm going to give you a 3-part framework. This is all about intentional cognitive restructuring. This isn't some temporary band-aid. This is your permanent defense system against that internal lie.
So the framework has 3 tactical defenses. First up is the Competence Log. This is going to be your evidence-based counterargument. Number 2 is the De-Personalization Drill. Think of it as your linguistic shield against the sting of failure. And number 3 is the Disclosure Strategy, a tool for taking apart the shame and isolation that give the lie all its power. Together, these form a complete system designed to systematically overwrite the faulty code of imposter syndrome.
Okay, tool number 1 is the Competence Log, and its power is in its simplicity. This is a non-negotiable mandatory record of your successes. But here is the critical rule. For every success, you have to connect it to your internal skills and effort. So for example, instead of writing, "gave a good presentation," you write, "my rigorous preparation and clear communication resulted in a persuasive presentation that got the client's buy-in."
See the difference? Instead of finish the project, you write, I skillfully navigated the team's conflicting priorities to deliver a complex project ahead of schedule. This tool builds a mountain of objective, undeniable proof that directly fights your reliance on those subjective, inaccurate feelings. This is your data. This is your evidence.
Defense number 2 is a powerful language hack, the De-Personalization Drill. When a setback happens, your imposter brain immediately defaults to, I failed, I am a failure. This drill forces you to reframe that. Instead, you say, the process for this task failed, or this particular strategy didn't work. It shifts the focus from a permanent judgment on your identity to a temporary, specific, and external event. A pitch doesn't land? The old thought is, I'm terrible at this. The reframe is, the pitch deck wasn't strong enough on the financial projections. That's a data point. It turns failure from a personal attack into a useful piece of feedback.
So we have the tools, but why do they work so well? Let's dive into the psychology of it all, because understanding the why is what's going to make you stick with the what. This is how you actually reprogram your brain.
It's a fair question, right? I mean, how can something as simple as writing in a notebook beat a powerful, deep-seated feeling that you've probably had for years? It sounds almost too simple to work against such a tough internal enemy.
Well, here's the key. The Competence Log directly attacks that warped attribution style we talked about. Every single time you log a success and you link it to your own skill, you are literally carving new neural pathways in your brain. You are training your brain over and over with objective proof to connect success with your competence, not with random luck. Over time, this systematically overwrites that old faulty habit. It's the foundational fix.
And what about handling setbacks? The De-Personalization Drill has a direct effect on your brain chemistry. It calms down your brain's alarm system, the amygdala. When you frame a setback as I am a failure, your brain sees that as a huge threat and triggers a stress response. But when you reframe it as the process failed, you lower the threat level. This keeps the rational problem-solving part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, in charge, so you can learn from what happened instead of just feeling shame about it.
And all of this leads to the master principle at play here: cognitive dissonance. Your brain absolutely hates internal conflict. It can't comfortably hold two opposing ideas at once. Idea 1, I am an incompetent fraud, and idea 2, here is a logbook with hundreds of pieces of verifiable evidence of my competence. The system creates this powerful tension that your brain has to resolve, and since the log is filled with objective facts, your brain's only choice is to adjust the subjective feeling to match reality. Your feelings have no choice but to catch up to the evidence.
Okay, we understand the what and the why. Now for the most important part, the how. This section is all about immediate action. This is your game plan. You can, and you absolutely should, start this process the moment this explainer is over.
Your protocol is simple and direct. 1. Start your competence log. This is the foundation of the whole system. 2. Drill the reframe. Make that linguistic shift from I failed to it failed your new go-to response. And 3. Own the process. Let's break down the rules for each one.
Here are the rules for your log, and they're non-negotiable. First, every single evening you will log 3 specific accomplishments. Big or small, doesn't matter. Consistency is what matters. Second, for each one, you must write down the skill or effort you used to make it happen. And third, this one's crucial. The next time you feel that imposter feeling creeping in, you are forbidden from debating it until you first open and read your log. The log is your lawyer, presenting irrefutable evidence in your defense.
And finally, own the process. Look, your feelings are unreliable, but your actions are not. So you're going to start defining success for your day not by some external outcome you can't control, but by your 100% adherence to a system you can control. For today, success could be as simple as, I filled out my competence log. That's it. That's a win. It's completely undeniable and totally within your power. This creates small, daily victories that build real momentum and reinforce your identity as someone who executes no matter what they're feeling.
So we've gone through the diagnosis, the framework, the psychology, and the action plan. Now let's distill all of this down to the single most important lesson for mastering your inner game and truly owning your success.
If you remember one thing, let it be this. Your struggle with imposter syndrome is not a character flaw. It is not a life sentence. It is a correctable error in your thought process. It is a bug in your mental code, and you now have the patch to fix it. You are not broken. Your system just needs this one simple upgrade.
So the call to action is clear, and it's urgent. Stop waiting for the next big achievement or the next piece of external validation to finally make you feel worthy. That feeling will never arrive on its own. You have to build it, intentionally, from the inside out.
Start your competence log today. Start building the undeniable objective case for your own competence. Build the evidence that silences the fraud for good.
Look, this whole system is designed to solve the chronic problems of anxiety and self-sabotage. And why this matters so much is that it gives you a systematic, reliable way to finally internalize your true competence. The Competence Log and the De-Personalization Drill, they're not just mental exercises. They are the actual tools you will use to correct your brain's attribution error, replacing that nagging feeling of fraud with cold, hard, objective evidence. So remember, real productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus, confidence, and high performance feel effortless. The only question left is, what are you going to achieve when that internal lie is finally silenced?